Welcome to a hot day here and around town in the city of Concord. I'm your host, Dick Patten, and on behalf of my super director, Ian Marx, I am very pleased to have with me my associate there, State Representative David Luneau, who is representative of Ward 5 in Concord and Hopkinton, or Concord. Mm-hmm. Well, I love this thing.
That's right.
Oh, I love it when they say Concord.
Or Tookie.
Yeah, Tookie.
As we affectionately know it.
Yeah.
So,
Dick,
always a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
And here with your viewers on a hot summer day.
I know, and it's funny because I read the papers, of course, the fair season has started. Stratham had their fair, North Haverhill had theirs last weekend. Now it shifts down to Cheshire County. But Hopkinton Fair sounds like it's in trouble. What's going on?
No, it's Hopkinton Fair, which has for over 100 years been Labor Day weekend and a 5-day fair. Has changed over the last decade, last several years specifically. But as I think many people have read in the local paper, in the Concord Monitor, that there has been some disagreement between the town of Hopkinton and the board of directors at the Hopkinton State Fair, and after some negotiation with the Hopkinton Select Board, we're able to come to an agreement on really some mutual interests in serving continuing to serve the interests of the community.
God, I mean, really, look at the money that comes into that community.
Right. And also, just from somebody that grew up in Hopkinton, the fair's been something that I've known basically all my life, and that our family has enjoyed, significantly, and particularly something that's really special about it is the night before the fair opens. It's called Townie Night.
Oh yes,
and where the food vendors are all out there, and it's a great opportunity to get over there. There's no gate fee on it, and you just go and get yourself a nice greasy cheesesteak and some potato fry, sweet potato fries, and everything else.
Of course, for many years, the state Grange had a big influence out there.
Right.
They and the 4-H. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, I can remember the year it happened, they hired a new manager out there. And I won't say the name, but the initials were A.H. Mm-hmm. And it's like he hated the 4-H and the Grange. We had that nice Grange building on one side where all our exhibits were. Mm-hmm. And on the other side was, I think it was Barbara Corson. She had her cakes and all that stuff on that side. Sure. And it was a fairly new building. And then the 4-H had theirs over in that area. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, sorry, we're out. We got shoved out of there, and we got pushed over where the 4-H building was. The Grange went. Mm-hmm. And it was like, what happened? Of course, I know this, in the state of New Hampshire, the legislature back years ago used to fund these fairs. And then all of a sudden they cut them off. And a lot of fairs died because Canaan was one. Mm-hmm. Plymouth was another one. We lost those two fairs. Rochester this year went under, I guess. They may come back as a smaller one next year, but it's unknown. Mm-hmm. But, it's a lot of competition. It's a busy time of the year. Right. But as you said, I can remember going over there on Wednesday night, putting our exhibit up, and brother. And then trying to get in Monday night to take it down was another story. Mm-hmm. But anyway,
well, certainly with the fair business have come some changes over the last bunch of years, and we certainly obviously think very I guess think very carefully about the responsibilities that the fair has and that the state has in operating these sorts of the rides on these and we certainly want to avoid any sort of repeat of what happened in Ohio.
Hasn't that been terrible?
And that's been that's really been awful. But the Hopkinton State Fair does not have that ride. No, but it certainly could have.
Oh, it could.
I do know that the state does take its responsibility seriously on this, and we did have a bill come through House Commerce just this past session on the state's obligations to basically, test out and monitor these carnival rides.
It's funny, years ago, when I was a kid, you'd see a Ferris wheel, merry-go-round, or carousel, maybe 2 or 3 other little kiddie rides, and maybe the scrambler. Now they renamed it something else. But that was it. And you thought, boy, you were on a thrill ride with a scrambler. And I hated the Ferris wheel because I'll never forget the year I got on that, and my sister rocked it up on top. And I was scared the living daylights. And my cousin was on one side, and she was on the other. And they rocked that. Oh, I'm screaming. I wanted to get off.
Yeah.
I never have gone on since. No way. But anyway, so the legislature's in recess, but when I have to say, I think we're pretty lucky compared to the nation, compared to that U.S. Congress. My gosh, have they been having the problems this summer out there? Whoa! I mean, dump the tea, but the Trump whatever. But gee, what a mess.
Yeah, it's really. And I'll be honest. I do tend to be probably like a lot of people in New Hampshire, and a lot of people in the legislature, news junkies, and read a lot of newspapers online and in print and other television and stuff like that. But it was really nice to have 3 weeks of the Tour de France to sort of take up the continual news from Washington. But now that we're back into it, certainly some of the stuff that's been going on with the Affordable Health Care Act, and then in particularly some really very ignorant comments from the president.
Oh, I know.
About New Hampshire being basically a drug inundated den, and I think really fails to recognize the significance of the crisis of addiction that we're facing, not only here in New Hampshire but throughout the country.
I'm so happy that our government has once in a while stepped away from what he was following him, because I'm telling you, it is scary.
Right.
I can't ever believe, since I've been following politics or involved, ever seen an administration that has caused protests every weekend since January. It's been protests after something else, or like he's on TV, you're fired, and he's got more administrative changes than Carter's got liver pills. I mean, really? Look how many people he's boom, boom. I don't know. I don't know when they're going to start impeachment, if they ever do, or if somebody decides to take a whatever. But I almost can't wait to 2020 and get a new president in there. I hope. It's time for a Kennedy to step up, or O'Malley or whatever.
Right. So, well, that's still ways off, but...
well, you think so, but I'm telling you, after this fall, you're going to start seeing it again. They'll start visiting. Well, a couple have
They've already started,
But, no, I mean, we're drafting bills. I showed you the one I've got. I've written up, and I'm thinking of a couple. Because it's funny because I was, hot and heavy about the casino and all that. I still am about the trains. I was up in northern New Hampshire at my mother-in-law's funeral, and the funeral directors up there at Ricker Funeral Home are very nice. Yeah. And his wife says, "What is the matter with you people in Concord?" And I said, "What do you mean?" "I can't believe how stupid you legislators are in not promoting the passenger train service in this state." She said, "You go to Europe or go to Japan or whatever, and it's all trains." And I was up to Montreal, and they up there are building a brand new $1 billion passenger train service from Montreal down through Quebec City. It's like state of the art. And I thought, she's right. Why are we so against trains? I know why. I mean, my personally feeling, I know why. Because of the buses, number one. They're not going to want to compete with a train. Car dealers ain't going to want to see trains come in here, even though the cars are loaded on the highways. Let's face it. And then the truckers, They don't want to see more freight service coming in here on the trains, so it's too bad.
It is too bad.
They could all work together, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But nope.
Yeah, and where you see really sort of growing and thriving communities, in New Hampshire and other New England states, these are communities that are served through the Amtrak or commuter rail lines, and so I think that was a miss for New Hampshire, and that was clearly one of the choices that was on the table last November when people voted in the gubernatorial election. And Governor Sununu is not in support of even looking into the possibility of rail. And former executive councilor Van Oostern was certainly a big proponent of it, and a proponent of the study and incorporating it into the 10-year transportation
plan. You got
plan.
Representative Kirk, who just hates it.
Right.
But it's all right for something else. But we're getting keto.
Yeah.
No problem. But my thing is, I've switched heavily on now for the special needs and the health and welfare part, especially of the handicap and disability, and that's where I'm really focusing on myself this coming year. But I don't know, for a state that some stuff up there is well, let's say like that office building across the street, the State House Annex over there. You can't get in there. At least I don't know how to get in there. There's not. All I see is steps up there. I don't know how to. I'm not going to play underground whatever. Right. No, that's a very good point, Dick. And certainly there's requirements that fall on a lot of private commercial buildings as part of the Americans with Disabilities Act. I know that we're going through some of that at my old fraternity house down at MIT. Oh, I'm sure.
And having to bring things up to code there. The city of Concord did a lot and worked with property owners along Main Street to improve accessibility to those commercial storefronts. But there's a lot we really need to do, I think, at the State House, the Legislative Office Building, and the State House Annex. Buildings as well, because certainly they don't provide an equal opportunity of access for people with with special needs, with disabilities, whether it's visual impairment or whether it's a mobility issue, or my son just had ACL replacement surgery yesterday.
Really?
So he's a bit incapacitated at the moment, but he'll be up on crutches soon. And even for our significant number of students across the state that tear their knees playing sports or get injured, I think providing accessible means for everybody really helps out everybody.
Of course it does.
And I think everybody knows we've got an aging population in New Hampshire too.
Now you're still on Commerce, is it?
I am on Commerce. Yeah.
So what's coming up on your committee for this coming year, this coming session in the
So that's a good question. I think the big question before us right now is health insurance. And we sort of started talking about what's going on down in Washington with that, and the uncertainties surrounding health insurance, and the president's really absurd statements that he's going to break the law and hold back the cost sharing reimbursements that are owed to the insurance carriers. And what that does, of course, is drives up insurance premiums from everybody else, because they're not sure they can count on that revenue coming from the federal government. That is part of the law of the land. And so when the president uses language like that to threaten withholding those payments to try to get bills that nobody even knows what's in them passed, it certainly creates a lot of anxiety, a lot of uncertainty in the insurance markets here in New Hampshire. And that's one of the big things that House Commerce works closely with. So the insurance department recently had put forth a proposal that would essentially, allow the insurance company to assess, to place an assessment on all health insurance plans to raise some money that could be used to, in case the federal government did not, come forward with those reimbursement payments. And it would have been, on average about $6 per health insurance plan annually, $6 annually per health insurance plan. So really a pretty small amount compared to what a family health insurance premium costs. But the governor and basically the House and Senate leaders rejected that, which is going to place incredible burdens on low-income working families who are really going to struggle if even have any ability at all to pay the insurance premium on the individual market. It could go up 40, 50, 60% if the president reneges on the cost sharing payment. So
in his skinny care bill.
Yep.
I have to say I was very pleased that Senator McCain chose to join the Democrats. I was very pleased with that. I'm glad he did. Now, I'm not saying I haven't been a fan of his, but I'm just glad that he was open-minded enough to listen and make his not be forced or pressured into. So I was happy when that. When I saw that. Good for you, buddy. Even when that brain tumor he had, it's like, boy, at least he was smart enough to know that
there was some clear thinking.
That's right. There was not a good bill, and but no, it does. It scares you, and and then I don't know. I was up in, as I said, Montreal, and of course I asked them up there about their taxes and all that stuff. I said, because they're bragging how education's free, college is free, medication and all that. But I said, yeah, but how can you afford that? It's taxes up there. Their taxes are terrible. We don't go through it very often. I think it's the first time in 4 years we're up there. But that's what they told me. Different ones said it. It's the taxes. Because we bought a couple of Christmas items, little ornaments, and some solar mousse that's on a thing that shakes, and it come to $45 Canadian. And I looked at that, but it's the taxes. That's how they're doing it up there. No wonder they're freak tuition and all that stuff. Because I was up there asking about the universities. I don't know what they have for university, but I found McGill and Laval up there. I guess the two of them we heard about. And I guess was talking. I said, "Gee, how can anybody afford them?" And they, tuition free up there, really low up there.
Wow, yeah.
Well, that's because of the taxes. Well, I don't know, but there's a lot of agriculture up there. I'll tell you. Holy mackerel! All you could see was cornfields. I thought it was out in Nebraska or Iowa. Cornfields.
Right.
I said, "Are you sure these aren't the Amish?" Because that's all it was, cornfields. So.
Well, swinging it back around to taxes, though, taxes are pretty bad in New Hampshire.
Yes, they are.
And when we look at local property tax and really realize that more and more, the state really does rely on not so much the state, but municipalities and schools throughout the state rely on the local property tax because. As opposed to relying on the state for providing a lot of financial support for education and for roads and bridges. And one of the things that I think we're able to accomplish this year is to provide some additional money to municipalities to support infrastructure, local road and bridges projects. I think it's about $30 million. And what does that mean for Hopkinton? It means about $160,000. What's it mean for Concord? I think it's like $750,000. So it's a significant amount of money, but it's well short of what Federal Highways estimates refurbishing all of our structurally unsound bridges are in the state. Far short of that. But state of New Hampshire just just doesn't have money to support roads and bridges, doesn't have money to support public education. It's walked away from its commitment to municipalities and school districts for the retirement system, saddling property taxpayers with approximately $100 million a year. It's completely walked back on that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it gave Apple, Walmart, and Amazon a $22 million tax break this year.
Yeah.
So while our taxes go up, Dick, Apple, Amazon, Walmart, here's some cost savings for you guys, and don't think that that's going to translate into lower prices at Walmart or $10 off your next iPhone.
Sad part though is with Amazon and stuff is driving Sears and Penny's right out of business because they're just going to shop online.
Sure,
really.
That's what people do.
And it's sad because here are the stores that people have gone in and shopped for years. Don't have to anymore. If they get computers, just go online to. They said back in July, it was Christmas in July, I guess, for 1 week, because Amazon was offering all kinds of specials. And
it was Amazon Prime Day. Yeah, it was fantastic. But Amazon has been an innovator in that industry, obviously. Sears, I think, had the opportunity to do it and didn't recognize the opportunity. Certainly didn't capitalize on it. And with their stores essentially in every city across the country, they had a great network for distributing product, whether it was purchased in store or online, and they just failed to capitalize on that opportunity. Amazon, you look at what they're doing now, and they're now buying bricks and mortar, Whole Foods, and setting, they've certainly made a substantial investment in fulfillment centers across the country. But Sears had all that in place already, and just failed to leverage that. So,
I don't know, and of course it's just, and then we have the other issue about some of these legislators that are not behaving themselves, and we've lost several this year. They didn't use their heads, and they either haven't resigned yet or they're under whatever. And it's like, what is? And that gives us not a very good name either.
No, it's pretty terrible.
We want young people in office, but when you get them in there, they're not tending to business either. So what do they run for?
Right.
No, I'm wondering what's going to happen this next session, because I myself thought the first session was wasted. I thought a lot of time was wasted. I mean, my committee especially, and it's like we get nothing done. There's so many bills that got tabled or in whatever you call it there. What's going to happen to them?
Right. Well, if they were retained in committee, they're going to have to come up again this fall or early winter and come to the House floor. And one of my bills was stuck in that the House version of the full day kindergarten funding bill, and that's been retained in House Education. So that will come up for a vote in January, and the Senate version. Of this bill is the bill that had basically Keno got tacked onto that. It became a Keno bill, and so it's still up to municipalities, cities, and towns.
Well, that's what I was getting at.
To whether or not they want to open the door for their licensees or for the restaurants to.
So we have to vote. Each city or town has to vote to accept.
Well, I
right?
think for towns it would be at a March town meeting type of thing.
Cities
for the cities, it may just be the council, the city council, that votes on that. So I'm not sure on that part particularly, but it is up to the individual cities and towns to do that. But really, my point was that the Senate version of the kindergarten bill basically got hijacked by Keno. And it's hard to put the genie back in the bottle once it's out. So that thing's out there. But another part that was very bad about that bill was the precedent that it establishes that the state no longer has to pay a school district make the full adequacy payment to a school district, which actually helps to reduce property taxes. The state doesn't have to do that if it fails to generate the revenue. Whether or not that means Keno losses didn't come in as to what they were, or we decided to give Walmart $22 million worth of tax cuts. So if the state doesn't get the revenue, then we can shortchange the town, which means all of our property taxes rise. So that's very bad policy, and that's something that I hope we can straighten out. We're not going to be able to, I don't think, put the genie back in the bottle as far as Keno, but at least we can eliminate a very dangerous policy that creates a significant amount of unpredictability and instability for local property taxpayers. So we can get that corrected with the House version of the bill. So I hope people will put pressure on their legislators to support that.
I hope so, because it, like I said, I was disappointed this year. I thought nothing really got accomplished. And I hadn't seen that before. So I think we met a lot of times in previous years, and we had more set date, state sessions, and this year was hardly nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was some bipartisan. There were some bipartisan bills that did go through. On the commerce and insurance side of things, I'd say, bills that help to break down barriers to allow better treatment for addiction treatment during the opioid crisis that we're going through, and things like that. But you're right. Some of the bills that really would have moved the ball forward in terms of human rights. Those didn't proceed. As far as education, those didn't move forward. The budget essentially level funds UNH, which when you take a look at the university system's costs, are certainly going up. It means tuition's going to have to continue to rise in the school that has the highest tuition. For a state university in the country. So speaking of state universities, I've been on this show enough that I know you're always wearing your Wolverines garb. So I had to wear some engineers garb today. So,
now they have a football team, but they're not Division I, are they?
No, we're not Division I. We're Division III football team. Yeah. And some people might remember. What was it? 4 or 5 years ago, MIT actually went to the Final Four in the D3.
Sure.
Which was pretty exciting, and there's some pretty good competition
but they're very hot with rivalry with Harvard, right?
Well, Harvard plays Division. Oh, you're talking about not in football, because they play. Harvard plays Division I Ivy, but no, we're. I mean, there's always, I think, a healthy rivalry between MIT and our less successful cousins further down the river, or up the river, I should say. But it's. I'm just kidding about that, but it's fun, and I always look forward to getting back on campus. And my son's going into his junior year there as well, so I get down there a little more often now. It's a lot of fun, and it's a good place to go get recharged and then get back up here.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to my trip to Michigan. Although I have to say, due to my dismobility, I'm dreading it. But I'm looking forward to going out there and seeing them play Air Force this year.
Yeah.
So in September, but. Well, we got to close out another session around town, David.
Wow, that was quick, Dick.
It was. I'm telling you. I'm glad you came on. I appreciate it, and enjoy the rest of the summer.
You as well.
I'm looking forward to seeing you again in January, if not before.
I'm sure things.
Because we have no session in December.
There's no. There won't be much in terms of session. I think prior to January, but I'm sure we'll be seeing each other in the committee work as that picks up. This fall. So
well, good,
terrific.
You take care of yourself.
You as well.
Again, and we'll see you on Thanks for joining us on Around Town with State Representative David Luneau, and we look forward to seeing you all soon. Thanks again. I'm Dick Patten, your host.